100 for 100, the podcast for all you newer movie watchers or just fans of film, I guess. I give 100 suggestions on films that you should dip your toes into if you're really looking at getting into watching film. This is pretty entry-level movies, and then I rank them from 100 to 1, so you could all have something to yell and fight about, and I accompanied each with a 100-word review. And, of course, this podcast, these little bite-sized mini podcasts for the first 100 days of the year 2020. Look, man, this is the day after the Academy Awards, and I'm feeling a little bit rough. So we're going to get through this as best we can. All right, let's get started on it. Yesterday gave us number 57, Coco. Like I said, one of the best visual movies on this list. I probably put it somewhere in the top 10 as far as visuals are concerned. Go ahead and check that out. 2017 joint. Today, we're talking about the number 56 joint. We got to go back to 1989 for this. The Blues Brothers, directed by John Landis. Let's get into this 100-word review, shall we? Easily one of the best films that comes from the Saturday Night Live repertoire, Blues Brothers comes from a place of love. Starring John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd and featuring a gang of musicians that are far from actors, the film relies heavily on humor and heart. On a mission from God, Jake and Elwood Blues are attempting to stage one great show to raise enough money to save their orphanage. A star-studded list of musical cameos to include Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, Cab Calloway, James Brown, and more. The Blues Brothers is a riot from start to finish. And yes, it most certainly is. I love the Blues Brothers. It is one of my top 10, possibly top 5 favorite comedies of all time. Just the sheer absurdity. This movie, the one thing I like about this movie is that it starts out realistic, very realistic. Brother picks his brother up from jail. They go fulfill a promise of visiting the Penguin in the orphanage. The orphanage is closing up, and then they're like, hey, we should do something to help keep this orphanage that helped us stay open. All that is very realistic, and then as you go on further and further, it just descends more and more into complete and absolute absurdity. And then all of a sudden you bring in even the correction officers, the probation officers, where Elwood's supposed to check into, who he just completely ignores. They're hounding after him, which, all right, yeah, still realistic. But then you bring in the Nazis. I hate Illinois Nazis. You bring those guys in, and that's when stuff really starts getting just completely outrageous. And you're putting on the ridiculous show there at was like Mel's Diner or something like that, the country western bar, which I'm still not sure what the difference between country and western is. If somebody out there can accurately describe the difference between country and western, somebody please let me know. But either way, with the guys throwing the empty beer glasses against the chicken wire there, the bottles are shattering all over the place as they play Rawhide over and over and over again. And then of course the car chase at the end, which is possibly one of my favorite third acts in a film. Just the number of police, like feds, the National Guard, like everyone just basically just chasing after a guy who skipped on his probation, is absolutely ridiculous. And this car, I think it set the record for most car crashes, which I think Blues Brothers 2000 topped it. We won't talk about Blues Brothers 2000 any more than what I just did. And it all comes to a head at the registrar's office or wherever it is they need to put the money to save the orphanage. It is full of good character work, I do believe. As ridiculous and as scallywag as Jake and Elwood Blues are, they have their hearts in the right place. And then just all the musical cameos, like I said, all those guys, John Lee Hooker in there as well. And I'm pretty sure there's other people I'm not remembering off the top of my head. But the musical performances actually performed by the Blues Brothers and the band that accompanies them. John Bones Malone, Blue Lou Marini, Willie Two Big Hall, and all those guys. Not actors in any sense of the imagination, but they are some damn fine musicians. And it produced a damn fine soundtrack. If you've never listened to the Blues Brothers soundtrack, I suggest you do that immediately. If that is your type of music, and even if it isn't your type of music, you still might accidentally find yourself bobbing your head, tapping your toes, snap your fingers. It is a well-crafted movie, a well-crafted soundtrack, full of great humor. I think this is at the top of the list of movies that have come from, the Saturday Night Live retinue, as it were. So go ahead, make sure you do yourself a favor and check out number 56 on our list, The Blues Brothers.